When a child is facing academic pressure and is struggling with managing expectations, it has an effect on his self-esteem.
It's certainly not easy for our children, ma'am. I mean, they are crushed under the expectations and the pressures coming in from parents, society, educational institutions, in fact, even their peers.
Pressure is not always bad, Shizzy. It also helps us build drive to perform. But one has to be cautious when this pressure is turning into stress, because most of the time it goes unnoticed, and at those times it can be detrimental towards one's physical health and mental health.
Academic pressure, which is marked by high expectations, intense competitions, and this urgency for constant academic achievements, can have a huge impact on the mental health of a student. From parents, academic institutions, and even peers, the student life is constantly rife with meeting these expectations. In today's episode, let us examine the various causes of academic pressure and also see how we, as the students' ecosystem, can help reduce their stress. Hello and welcome to Guidecast, an initiative by Narayana Educational Institutions. With a legacy of 45 years, Narayana is truly committed to the overall development of its students and in realizing their dreams, because at Narayana, your dreams are our dreams. My name is Shezi, and joining me today is Vijay Lakshmi ma'am with 25 years of experience in psychology. In her capacity as Chief Welfare Officer at Narayana, she is truly committed to empowering parents to have strong relationships with their children. A very warm welcome to you, Vijay Lakshmi ma'am.
Thank you, Shizzy.
Ma'am, let's jump straight into the deep end with this one. What happens to the child and their academic performance when they are under pressure?
When a child is facing academic pressure and is struggling with managing expectations, it has an effect on his self-esteem. So this brings out a feeling of inadequacy, which has a propelling effect on their confidence and self-esteem. High levels of stress leads to procrastination as a coping mechanism. And in this process, the child develops a fear of failure and the motivation levels also come down. So all this does have an effect on their cognitive ability, where their ability to grasp or problem solve declines. While a few struggle, a few of them do continue to persist and eventually come out to be more resilient. Pressure is not always bad, Shizzy. It also helps us build drive to perform. But one has to be cautious when this pressure is turning into stress, because most of the time it goes unnoticed, and at those times it can be detrimental towards one's physical health and mental health.
Ma'am, I'd like to understand from you, what are the causes of academic pressure?
Academic pressure stems from various factors, Shizzy, often intertwined with individual, systemic, or societal factors. We live in a very competitive world, be it at school, at work. So in this age of modernization, we are taking larger strides to do better at what we are doing. It has its own benefits and setbacks. If we have to talk about the benefits, most of the children are exposed to a challenging environment where they're stepping out of their comfort zone, and some of them are assisted by their parents. A few are able to navigate through these pressures with the support that they get from school and family. No matter what the support, there is still a quantum pressure that still lingers around. If a child is performing well, he would want to do even better. So that adds to the existing pressure. While a few students find it difficult even to cope with these kind of things, a child's lack of interest in any particular subject can have an overlapping effect on the learning, which contributes to the academic stress. Age is also one of the factors, Sheze, which contributes to the academic pressure. While the child is growing, especially during the adolescence, the hormones kick in, which bring in changes in their physical or mental status. Society also plays a major role in this, Shizzy. The society can praise the child, very high when the child has performed really well, and at the same time, it can label the child based on the grades that they achieve.
Ma'am, what is the role that the parents can play in mitigating the pressure from academics?
Parents should be more aware of what is happening with the child. Most often what happens is parents form a construct based on their previous experience, and then they try to enforce the strategies that worked for them as a child. For example, if I say, studying early in the morning, it helps in better learning, but not necessarily, because each of them have their own biological clock, and certain times it works and certain times it doesn't work. So instead, if there is an open and a non-judgmental conversation, and both the parent and the child can agree on and then lay out the study time. Another thing is the parent needs to be empathetic towards the child. Even the tone and the voice volume can put the child down. For instance, when the father comes home from work and he sees the child playing, so what happens is the work frustration is displaced on the child. And if this happens frequently, the child will lose interest. So instead, what can be done is, like, when the father comes home and then he sees the child playing, so rather than impulsively acting on it, he can be calm, spend some time with the child, so that they're building that rapport, and then eventually share his concern. So in this way, the parent has to be more understanding rather than reacting impulsively, know what the child requires, and then act.
Empathy goes a long way.
And apart from this, parents also need to be aware that the child's pressure can be rooted from other factors. It could be from a sibling rivalry, or issues with their friendship, or it could be any other factors at school or in the playground. So if the parent is being observant, and they are aware of what is affecting the child, they are in a better position to help the child handle the stress.
It's certainly not easy for our children, ma'am. I mean, they are crushed under the expectations and the pressures coming in from parents, society, educational institutions, in fact, even their peers. I wanted to ask you, ma'am, are there any techniques that children can employ to manage this mountain of expectations?
The child is still dependent on the parents, and it's very unlikely for them to manage when the parent is more than involved. And at this age, be it 5 years to 20, the primary figures for the child are the parents, where they're looking for a lot of validation. So in this, when the child has so much trust on the parents and they're looking for so much validation, what the parent can be doing is, they can actually try and understand the child's strengths and their abilities, and accordingly chalk out a plan for them. So this in itself reduces the stress. But most of the time what happens, the parent is not aware where these expectations are coming from. It could be from their unfulfilled dreams, what they couldn't do. They want the children to achieve it, or they would want the child to have better financial background. They want to have the child to prosper. And also they rub the societal expectations on the child. So instead, if the parents can empower the child and give them an unconditional support, which helps the child build trust, right? And this will build a conducive environment for the child to grow.
Beautiful. I'm so grateful that you have shared this, ma'am. It's so vital. Empower your children to the extent that they are unfazed by the pressures coming from outside. Lovely, ma'am. It is myth debunking time. Ma'am, this is a oldie but a goodie. Poor exam results will ruin your life.
It's definitely a myth, Shazi, because exams are a measure to help you understand the kind of effort that you have put in a particular subject at any particular point in time. So it doesn't actually define your worth or potential. It is used as a tool to help you understand, or it gives you a feedback on how you can improve. So what you do with this feedback is important. It can help you learn, it can help you grow, or adjust your approach accordingly.
Very well put, ma'am. Thank you for sharing that. Ma'am, some questions have come in from our viewers. Let's take a look at them. How about the pressures that come from the educational institutions? What can we do about it?
Students' uptake, especially during adolescent and pre-adolescent age, is very high. It's the golden period for learning, meaning their ability to grasp and learn concepts is high. And also the students' reward center is very active compared to the adults. So building a strong sense of learning discipline and also concepts is very good, because the child's brain is still in that process of adapting. So educators make the most of this golden period. And also, Shazi, the competition is really high. As an educational institutes ourselves, we are working to bring around the change, and change doesn't happen overnight. We as a team from Disha, we constantly work with teachers and students to build in the right kind of environment for the child to flourish. As part of this, we also conduct a lot of workshops for teachers to help them understand students and student behaviors. Your child does matter to us.
Okay, ma'am, here's another question. This one is from a student and it's coming in from the Bengaluru campus. My parents always nag and always ask me to study. I am confident, but they don't trust me enough. This increases my stress. What should I do?
Most of the time, Shazi, parents' statements are backed by fear. They genuinely want the child to succeed. But what happens is, their statements, they're overpowered by sympathy rather than empathy, and it's overcompensated by anger, right? So it's important for the parent also to trust the child. Now, in this case, the child is also having the difficulty because maybe he's not giving them enough evidences for them to believe in, right? And their anger is being triggered. So what the child can do to develop that trust from his effort is he can communicate his study schedules, or he also can fix in, he can work around and then stick to that study time and discuss with his parents on what he has studied, the kind of syllabus he's completed, what he has in plan, right? So when he discusses that, what happens? He's communicating his idea, which develops that sense of trust and belief on the child. And in this process, if the child is struggling with anything, he can also discuss the same, where the parent can channelize, or they can provide better guidance on how the child can overcome those factors.
Our current educational system is very well regarded across the globe. But it is also true that a lot must change. We, as friends, family, and schools, have an added responsibility towards the emotional and mental needs of our children. I understand that this mentality of urging the children to perform has yielded tremendous results. I mean, if you took a look at some of the big names in the global corporate world, you'll realize that a fair amount of those names are Indian. But we are in 2024. It is our duty as the support system of our students to ensure that the children that we set forth in the world are not merely successful, but also well adjusted. And I do believe, ma'am, that conversations and dialogues such as these are truly going to pave the way.
Absolutely, Shazi. Change cannot be affected overnight, and our presence here is an assurance that it has begun.
Ma'am, before we wrap up, you have to tell us what our viewers can expect in the next episode, please.
We could talk about parental well-being.
Lovely. If you have any questions regarding this particular topic of parental well-being, please share it with the email address appearing on the screen. In fact, if you have any questions and thoughts regarding this episode, we'd love to hear from you in the comments to this video. Thank you for your time today, Vijaya ma'am, and thank you for this wonderful initiative by Narayana.
Thank you, Shazi. Let's set realistic expectations, communicate openly, and support each other to ease the pressure of the child and help them chase their dreams. Because at Narayana, your dreams are our dreams.
Thank you for joining Guidecast, where we are dedicated to helping you understand and support your child's journey to success and fulfillment. With insights from Disha, the mental wellness program by Narayana Educational Institutions, a beacon of educational excellence for over 4 decades, we aim to empower parents and students alike. Remember, at Narayana, your dreams are our dreams.